About that and more with our MPs, Kim Rudd, Liberal Parliamentary Secretary, Lisa Raitt, Deputy Leader of the Official Opposition, Niki Ashton as an NDP MP from Manitoba. Welcome to you all. I don't even know where to begin on this one. All right, I want to talk about Tony Clement. Obviously, he has done something that he's feeling very guilty about. There is some suggestion there's national security implications here. Lisa, this is a friend and a colleague of yours. What's gone through your head as this has unfolded over the course of the day?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was what the reaction is going to be of the other folks in my riding, because I know that they're not going to like it. I don't think Canadians will like it. We are held to a different degree as a member of Parliament. That's just a fact of life, and we have to accept that. And there are certain actions that are just not acceptable, and I think it's being found just in terms of people talking about this that what Tony has admitted to doing is not acceptable. And the fact that we continue to hear about more people, I'm glad Andrew asked him to leave caucus.
But I got to ask you, all of you, isn't that common sense to drive you not to do this sort of thing, especially if you sit on a national security and intelligence committee? Niki, that must just drive you crazy.
Right. Well, or in any case, I mean, in the age of where we're talking about sexual harassment, sexual assault, where we're talking about the importance of consent, this action from anybody, never mind a public figure, is totally unacceptable. And I think, we're glad to hear Andrew Scheer is taking this seriously. We're troubled to hear that other women are coming forward, and this needs to be a wake-up call, not just in the case of Tony Clement, but to all of us, that these kinds of actions are totally unacceptable. And unfortunately, too many women are subjected to them too often.
Kim, do you believe there's national security implications that have to be explored here as well?
Well, I certainly don't know, so I won't speculate, but I will say that the RCMP, as you know, is investigating, and that's exactly where it should be. Tony sat on a very high security committee, as you know. It's up to the RCMP to make sure that there were no breaches, and they'll do their job, and I think we all have confidence in that.
Yeah.
But to Lisa's point also, I mean, should there not be, it seems to me like there should have been training, there should be training, because we had a harassment code of conduct, or anti-harassment code of conduct. Everyone seemed to have gone through this and understood the ground rules have changed after Me Too. Didn't Tony get the memo, Lisa?
You know what, I can't explain why anybody would do this. But what I can say is this, is that maybe people are compartmentalizing that it's only in the workplace I can't do this. And on the internet, everything's anonymous and nobody really knows anybody else, and it's an okay place to talk to people. And that is not the case. Like, this cannot happen. And I'm disappointed in Tony, just like the leader said. I'm very disappointed. But, the right thing for him to do was to leave caucus and go home to his family. And I feel so bad for his family. And I feel bad for all of his friends as well. But it's out in the open. He has admitted to it. So it's up to him to heal.
What needs to be done? What should Tony do to try and find a pathway back to the Commons where he can at least look his colleagues in the eye again? Is there a way?
Oof, well, I don't know what that way looks like. I mean, I'm troubled to hear that this was kind of activity he engaged in. I mean, we knew he was very active on social media. A lot of us are, maybe not to that extent, but unfortunately, obviously, there was a darker side to this as well. I do think we need to. This needs to be a wake up call for all of us, and particularly men in public life. That this much like sexual harassment and in person. I mean, Lisa reflected on it. It's not okay online either. And too many women, I mean, those of us in public life experience, have experienced inappropriate pictures, inappropriate messages. It's we've got to put an end to this culture.
How should, I ask all three of you this because you're women that don't put up with any guff. I know that. And I'm curious, how do you handle guys that are doing this with you? Guys that want to send you explicit pictures and they're unsolicited and unwelcomed. I've had a few MPs tell me they get them all the time.
Yeah. There's an excellent button on your tablet, on your phone. It's called delete.
Yeah.
And don't open them, delete them. If, I think we have to recognize a couple of things. One, and Lisa mentioned Tony's wife, and he has children. And I think we need to be as respectful as we can, as we are here, to make sure that they're given the time and space to be able to deal with this. And we have to remember these are real people and real families.
Sure.
But the other thing I would say about what we do get as women is, the reality is it's not necessarily always real people. It's sometimes bots. It's sometimes, a process through phishing, through the internet and through email. So you have to be ever vigilant, but the right answer is delete.
Because Lisa's point is well taken. A lot of these women, when an MP particularly reaches out to them, they're very flattered to begin with, but then they're kind of vulnerable because some of them interact with the government process, and blocking them seems like a dramatic step to do. So you just sit there and feel uncomfortable with these approaches. What do you do?
Well, I mean, I think it is important for us as women in public life to use the platform we have to say, look, it's happened to me. It's not acceptable. There are ways of dealing with it, but it happens. It's creepy. It certainly has made me feel extremely uncomfortable and frankly violated in the sense that my communications, my personal communications, still ought to be a safe space, right? So I would say that to the women that are coming forward, I'm really wishing them much strength. It's a very difficult position that they are in, and let this be a lesson more broadly.
All right.